I'm so excited to have you
I'm so
here.
excited.
Thank you for being so like I feel like we rescheduled this a million times. I'm so sorry. But I'm so happy to have you. I've been wanting to have you on for so long. We got to spend a little bit of time together on that retreat, which was nice.
Mexico.
I was like, it's Mexico. I was like, it's always nice to come into a podcast feeling like it's not a stranger, you know?
Yes.
It's scary for me. But yeah, I'm just so excited to talk to you just about your amazing brand and obviously how you've built that. I think that so many people listening are very interested in business building and entrepreneurship. And we live in an age where you can have an idea and you can actually go out and make it happen and like market it yourself. And you're a perfect example of that. So tell me how you turned Mara as just like an idea into something physical and real.
So I was a television host beforehand.
Yes.
And I worked at Pop Sugar and Refinery 29. And it was kind of at the heyday of like celebrity entertainment news, a time that you're very familiar with.
Very. Yes.
And so that kind of took a turn in 2015, 2016 when kind of celebrities were taking control of their own narrative with Instagram. And so a lot of the opportunities that I was getting in television were ending really quickly or, you know, they were wanting to do just YouTube shows. So I had this idea for Mara. My family's in skincare and in beauty.
Interesting.
Yes, my dad.
What does he do?
He's been a long time executive in the space. So he's worked for every like big brand. He's still like on the side of advisory on a lot of brands like Dr. Dennis Gross.
Oh my God.
And T3 Micro.
Amazing. It's similar to my dad was in the fashion business too.
Yes.
So I like grew up working in the warehouses, like learning the industry. Totally.
Totally.
Same.
So similar, but he was more on like the business side where, you know, he would come home and we would play with products. He worked at Neutrogena when I was younger. So
amazing.
I have been pitching like ideas to him like that because I've always wanted to have my own line. And it was, you know, I think we're always inspired by our parents. So wanted to be just like him. So you know, I've always been pitching ideas, but this one idea I had was on a trip to Turkey and the Sea of Marmara. Mara is the last 4 letters of my last name. I was really into face oils at the time. And this is like 2015 when there wasn't a lot of clean brands. The jargon wasn't clean either. It was just, you know, it was totally different.
Right.
And then it was really not about oils. It was about this like 20-step Korean skincare routine. So I had this idea for like a very simplified, kind of like Kuyana at the time, but for skincare, like a very pared back sensibility when it came to skincare. So had this idea, was on a trip, told him about it, and then honestly just started doing like the steps to create it in the sense of like thinking it was going to be more of a hobby, but then doing the right things to actually make a real business, which now I have hindsight. I'm like, oh, I actually did like a lot of things right.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what I was doing. So it was a really fun time where it kind of allowed me to feel creative again. I felt like I was, you know, when you've been in a job or like a show for a long time,
feels stale.
You feel very stale. So like it was this great creative outlet.
Yeah. And you were just, I feel like that job for you was so much about this energy output into like spotlighting other people.
Yes.
And it's not, there's no creative outlet for you to show like your aesthetic and view and everything. So
it's crazy because even when I was launching my brand, like I felt like there were so many there were some like Jen Atkin I've always looked up to. I also worked for her. But I felt like there were less. You open up your makeup bag today and it's like Lainey from Say, you know, Catherine Power from Merit. You know, you've got Kosas with Sheena. Like there's so many amazing badasses like that are at Sephora and beyond. And I felt like that wasn't the place we were in when
it was
launched.
Very more like brand heavy.
Yes,
it wasn't like anything personal. There was no personal touch to any.
Like Armani. I mean, there's still brands that are around today, but like Armani, Luminous Silk. So it just felt like the barrier to entry was tougher at the time. Although I think people would argue that it's even harder now because there's so much in the space.
Right.
But like it's easier to start your own brand. Yeah.
Completely. That makes sense. Okay. So were you like, did you grow up taking care of your skin? Did you have a skincare routine when you were a teenager?
Insane. Like I would be the kid coming to sleepovers being like, you need to use salicylic acid. And like didn't actually know what I was talking about. But like I've always been obsessed with skin. Never super heavy into makeup until I was on camera.
Okay.
So I feel like that changes things for you. And then you're like, oh. Like, oh my God.
It's a complete same. When I first saw myself on camera, I was like, holy shit.
Like, what is that?
Yeah, like who is that? For sure. Yeah, but and it's not a healthy mindset either because to ever judge yourself based how you look on like that kind of thing it's so silly, but it forced us to do that. Yeah.
And the cameras were different back then. I feel like they've gotten more like legit now. I feel like they added 10 pounds and made you look really like the wrinkly. I don't know. It was
now
really
they
scary.
want us to look good.
Now they have like, you know, the softbox really lighting everywhere. Yeah, I feel like I was really into skincare growing up. I've always been very passionate about ingredients. I work with my formulator one-on-one. I own all my formulas. So it's like my favorite part of the process is like making the product.
Amazing. So in terms of like the oil situation that you started with, talk to me about oils because I know some people can be scared of them a little bit. I personally love an oil. Like for me, it's a ritual every morning, every night. Like I mix it with my moisturizer because I like both. Like I want a creamy moisturizer and I want that like slick, oily feel with it. But I feel like people who have more clogged pores just like don't know that oil can actually be like really good for that. So talk to me about just like oil and how that was kind of like the founding ingredient in your skincare.
We're mostly oil based, but like there's a few ways to unpack this. Okay. So the first thing is like attracts like in chemistry. Like attracts like. So if you have oily skin, you should actually be using something with oil to actually remove the oil without depleting it.
Yeah.
So that's like the basic principle of chemistry.
Interesting.
Secondly, if you're using a non-comedogenic oil, which means it's non-pore clogging, you will not have to worry about it clogging your pores. And mostly people who have acne-prone skin are actually very dehydrated. And you keep in that hamster wheel cycle because they're not hydrating the skin. The other layer of this is that most creams are water and oil emulsions. So people think that they're not using oil when almost 90% of creams, unless it says oil-free, are water and oil emulsions. So they're already using oil in their routine. The problem is water can actually dry out the skin if it's not sealed in with something else, which is why they say to add the oil on as the last step if you are using a cream. Now for me, like I make our products to kind of be used solo, like super simplified, make it easy.
Yeah.
You can of course mix and match. But if you're using like our retinol oil, like you don't have to mix it with a cream and you don't need to put anything on top of it, but you can.
Right.
But I would just say, you know, if you're using a cream-based product and you're still dry, maybe try adding an oil in as the last step, even if you're acne prone. Yeah,
that makes sense. And what's on your skin right now? Because your skin is just like insane.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. We shot,
and I know this is the lip butter.
I brought it for you. Yeah, I brought it for you. This is in our new packaging.
So pretty.
I don't even know what's on my skin. I probably am using Westman Atelier for makeup. She's one of my favorites, like the stick.
Just like the little concealer stick. I've been so much more into that these days than covering my full face and foundation. And then it's like just little patches.
I don't use foundation at all.
You don't?
No, not at all. I don't even own any, I don't think. Like unless I'm sent them, they go into my my closet. I'm sure you have one. I know you got one of those.
Yes, definitely.
I know you have one. But I'm wearing Mara underneath. I always use C vitamin C serum every morning. It's our vitamin C. It's super hydrating, also oil based.
My sister just started using that a couple months ago and she's obsessed with it. Yeah, she's obsessed.
That I would argue is my favorite product.
You think so?
It oscillates. You know when you have when you come out with a new collection, like you always have your favorite at the time.
For sure.
But I would say my favorites are our treatments, our more intense treatments, and it oscillates between the vitamin C and our new clear skin.
Okay, talk to me about the clear skin.
That's what I showed you in Mexico.
Yes,
remember when you were
doing the last day, Allison was she was out on the beach by herself, like climbing on rocks, doing all this fun stuff with her product and I was so impressed.
I was like, gotta make it count.
Yeah, totally.
My flight wasn't later. I was not hungover
it was like
that day.
You got a whole marketing campaign done at that beach.
I actually used a lot of those photos.
They were beautiful. I was so impressed.
Yeah, because one of our favorite things to do at Mara too is we obviously work with many amazing photographers, but I love doing a POV from my lens.
Completely.
And so I've been trying to do that with every shoot. So you got to see the BTS in that.
I loved it.
Not that sexy from your side. My ass was in the air. I'm rolling around. But we launched Clear Skin, and that was really exciting for me because kind of what we just talked about. Acne is a category where people are constantly dry.
Yeah.
And they're always, I feel like the marketing jargon for years and growing up with my dad working at Neutrogena, it was always banish blackheads, fight your acne, deep down dirt and pores,
and
get
dry everything out. I had terrible acne, and that's terrible. I had to go on Accutane in college.
You would never know.
My Paige too, she had it even worse, and I can say that because she won't care. But cystic on her cheeks. So I understood it was you're so dry. They tell you to dry it out, right? Because that's the goal is to get all the oil out. But then you're so dry, you're trying to cover it up, and you're covering it up and it's flaky, and then it's just painful, irritating it even more.
Totally.
So yeah, there was not this treatment of oils and moisturizing. There was this let's suck everything out and exfoliate and dry you out. Remember, I was using Enzit. Did you never use Enzyme?
I know what it is. I never had to use that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the problem with that too is you can create a lot of scarring with that because it's so dry.
Yeah.
But the concept for this was it's obviously not as strong as like an Accutane, still a topical, but it's an OTC acne product, which means it's a it's labeled with the FDA. It has like the drug facts panel on the back. We use the 2% barometer of sal acid, which is something you would see in like a Proactive or a Neutrogena product. But it's very rare in the clean space to do it in this way, and especially in the clean prestige. So it's a hydrating anti-aging acne product. Of course, all ages can use it, but really I was inspired by a lot of my friends who were going through pre or post pregnancy acne, couldn't use retinol, really dealing with their skin. Even in my 20s, a lot of people were like, I'm 25. Like, why am I still having acne? Like, I'm in my teens. And then I have friends now who are going through menopause. And they're now dealing with crazy skin issues. So this is really like the acne product for the adult who wants to do it in a very chic, hydrating way, but has incredible results. So that's what I was shooting, and it's new. So
I love it because I also feel like that product is preventative as well.
Yes.
I love this product because, and I use it. Like, I love it. I really love it because it's one of those products that even though I don't have a flare up, I feel like it's working to prevent flare ups, and it still like gives me that glow.
Well, it does.
Yes.
Because I don't have acne at all, and I really don't have clogged pores, but I do get more clogging around my period.
I get blackheads around here.
And I get it here. I get blackheads here oddly too. I don't know why, like around my eyebrows.
Same. Whenever I get a facial, she's always picking so much around there.
I'm like, what's going on?
I know. I'm like, I didn't see that.
I mean, do I not wash my face?
No, actually, but then I thought about it and I'm like, this is our T-zone. So that's like where all our oil is mostly forming, So
this product's really good for that. So even if you don't struggle with like cystic acne, and that's the big thing we're trying to educate on, I think people think of acne and they're like, oh, well, I don't have pimples, so it's not for me.
Yeah.
But salicylic acid is a BHA, which is a beta hydroxy acid. And if you're talking about skin cycling, which I'm sure you've heard of,
yes,
it's like retinol one night and AHA or a BHA the next night. This would fall in the BHA category.
Okay.
So amazing for chemically exfoliating the skin.
Oh, amazing.
Great for anti-aging, wrinkles, and then of course like clogged pores and breakouts. So it is preventative, and all skin types can use it, which is really interesting.
Okay, so right now, are you doing that? Is that your thing, the retinol one night and then the BHA the next night?
I've always naturally skin cycled before it was like this thing. I like intuitively treat my face. And the retinol I use when I'm feeling old, which is most days. And then
I haven't dabbled with the retinol yet, and I need to but I'm scared. I don't have super sensitive skin, but sensitive enough that I'm like, I just don't want to deal with the irritation. But I feel like if I tried something natural, yours,
it's still strong. But I'll send it to you. It has 1.2% synthetic retinol.
Okay.
So you can't use it while you're pregnant or breastfeeding.
Right.
But it has 4 natural forms of vitamin A in an oil. And that's actually my other favorite product. It changed my skin the most, but there is a purge period that you might go through if you don't use retinol. Like Amanda, our friend, always goes. She starts it and then she gets and then
she's
like,
Allison, probably.
I'm like, it's part of
the process. But you're sloughing things off. Like shit has to come out, right?
I explain it like a sponge.
Put it bluntly.
Imagine if you have like your beauty blender and you haven't washed that thing in a long ass time, and then you put it in and you're squeezing it out, and it takes a while to get the stuff that's in the center because it's really impacted. That's like your skin is porous, so it's basically increasing cell turnover. So you're going to get out the things that have been sitting in your epidermis and dermis for quite some time that you would get in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, but it's making it much faster. Because as we age, our cell turnover goes from every few days to every 7 days to every 45 to 50 days when you get to be our age.
Got
it. Yeah. So it does, but it does cause a bit of purging, but it's the best thing you can do for skin.
Right. And it just happens for a little, and then your skin gets used to it.
You've got like very small, like you've got non-existent pores. You're crazy.
Oh my God.
Like your pores are so tiny, but the more porous your skin, you might have a bit more
irritation. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So you started with the oil, and then now how many products do you guys have?
I should know this.
Yeah. Because you have like a whole collection. You don't even have to know this.
I
but
think
it's
12-ish.
Like, do you, and is there kind of like a timeline for you where it's like every 3 months you're putting out a new product, or how does that strategy of like the growth work?
So the idea when I first launched the line was 2 products a year, like one in the spring, one in the fall.
Okay.
We've had years where we haven't launched anything, and we've had years where we've launched more. It's more just like how my cadence is.
Yeah.
But
like when you're feeling creative and have an idea worth exploring.
Or like when everything else like actually comes together, because people don't realize that so much of manufacturing, as you know, is like a dance. So there's like bottles and droppers and boxes and raw materials, and they all have to hit the same time, and sometimes they don't.
And so much is out of your hands.
Yes.
Which is so difficult.
So difficult.
Yeah.
So we try and average for 2 a year, and I have, since I've been out for 6 years, I have about 12. I have like 11 or 12 products.
Amazing.
Yeah, which is so fun. And more on the way. You know, we don't have one until next year, but I'm really excited about the next few.
No, I think like take your time and move at your pace. I mean, that's still off. That's like insane. You've built in 6 years and now you're in Sephora.
I know. That's the best part.
It's so amazing. So when did that start? When did that happen?
So Sephora, like I've been wanting to be there since we launched, of course, or before. But then we found out in June of 2022 that we were launching in January of 2023.
Okay.
And they gave us a .com launch to start. And then we launched in half the doors last April. And then we're now in all Sephoras, which was like, of course, a huge goal.
Yeah.
But there's still so many more territories to take on. So like we're in all US, but like there's Canada, there's this. So there's always like on to the next one.
Yes.
But Sephora has been an amazing partner.
And how big is the company right now?
There are about 8 of us, which is nice. And we have lots of like freelancers though, which is also helpful. We have an office here, but we're kind of trying to figure out like what the next strategy is. I just hired an ops team.
Amazing.
Which was really exciting for me.
Amazing. What does that include?
Well, so we use an advanced ERP system called NetSuite.
Okay.
I won't get too technical, but it's terrifying.
I kind of want to know.
It's called by Oracle. So NetSuite is an integrated ERP system that manages inventory and forecasting and accounting. And I actually took the training to operate it myself.
Good for you.
Yeah, but it becomes too taxing to like do all of that and also like manage all of the POs that come through. So hired someone to handle the ops, which I'm very excited about. And I have like I'm now coming up from like being underwater.
Yeah.
After a few months of like launches and the lip balms and stuff, where I have 3 positions open. So hopefully building the team out soon. But you know, hiring people is very tough too. Takes so much time.
Very tough. Takes so much time and training and finding the right person. And sometimes you're like, I can just get it done myself. And I feel like for you, it must be so hard. It seems like you wear a million different hats. I feel like I struggle with this because there are so many different facets to what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm like, wait, I want someone to tell me like what I should be doing today. Like what needs my attention today? How do you sort of like organize yourself with that?
So according to TikTok, I might be slightly neurodivergent.
Okay.
No, like I do really well with lots of multitasking, but it's like
good
not
for you.
But it's not necessarily like I've learned to live with it. But it's not necessarily the most efficient way to get things done, but I'm efficient in how I work with it. So like I'm kind of like, and I think this made me good at my last job too. Like I can do a lot of things at once. Like I can talk on the phone, write an email, and also like listen to someone at the same. And I feel like my brain works better. I have a harder time if you're just like talking at me. And
you are fine with stimulation. Yes. And you can take things in and you can function.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of times I'll start like 4 things at once in the morning, and I do get them all done, but I don't think that's necessarily the best way to do things. So I feel like that's helped me a lot though, because it keeps my brain like occupied too.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to know what you feel naturally good at and what you can handle, but also to take those pauses and be like, what actually needs my full attention
really
right
need
now?
To be doing.
Yeah.
I'm good at like not doing the BS stuff now. Like I feel like when you're nervous or you have something that you don't want to start, you do all the BS things to make, feel like you're busy, but you're not actually doing the one big thing.
The big things.
I always tackle the hardest task first each day. Like if there's something really annoying that I don't want to do, or like a deck that I have to put together. Like I didn't come from the land of decks.
I did not come from the land of decks
it's
either.
So awful.
I wish I had the skill to be able to do it. Like I want to be creating all these creative things to show everybody. And especially as I've been doing some more like creative director role stuff, but like I can't do shit.
Yeah, same.
Like I can't. It's upsetting.
Are we their age? Because all the younger kids are like really good at these
I think
decks.
they're learning it in school. Yes, for sure.
I never, like my old job, I never made a deck.
No.
Like I just would pitch things like, story ideas or concepts, or I never made a deck.
Never. And everybody wants to see a deck, right?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. We always make a joke like, I got a big deck.
Yeah.
Big deck energy, which I have none of clearly. So that sucks for me.
That's really funny. Yeah. So now you're able to delegate and you're not good at those things. So you're like, I'm going to delegate.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the things that you like to do the most? Like what are the most enjoyable tasks for you?
Well, I went to journalism school. So I love the writing and copywriting of Mara.
That's really fun.
I feel like it makes it more personal. Like if you read
Mhm.
a lot of copy for beauty brands, I feel like they all sound the same and they're very like dry. And so I like to put a lot of personality into that. So I think
Mhm.
once we finish the formulating, which is my second favorite thing to do,
Mhm. Mhm.
is really putting the story together and like
Mhm.
thinking of like, what are the colors we're going to use for this? You know, the mood boarding, the creative direction. I love all
Completely.
of that.
Yeah.
And then like the least favorite part is like all the manufacturing parts.
Yeah. The like actual
Yeah.
dealing with the orders and
And managing
yes.
people. I didn't come
Yeah.
from I didn't come from a position where I had to manage people in my last role.
Mhm.
Like I was kind of the one being managed because I was like on the show and I had like producers and PAs and they were always telling me what
Mhm.
to do
Mhm.
or getting me water. I don't know. I wasn't like having to delegate information. And so
Totally.
that's also been hard for me. But
Yeah.
I'm much better at it now than I was 6 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you throw yourself in and you learn by experience.
Yeah.
But like I was definitely the same, like similar kind of talent wise, you know, like I
Yeah.
was always talent and I wasn't directing people. And then I'm like was out on my own. I remember when I stopped being on TV and I'm like, what am I going to do with my life now? Like I've
Yeah.
had someone choosing like where I was going to live, like what my job was going to be pretty much. I mean, I would give them ideas of what I wanted to do, but like
That's crazy.
I didn't go out and get a job at Diane von Furstenberg. You know, like the producers were like, Whitney, do you want to move to New York, start your clothing line and like get a job at Diane von Furstenberg?
That is wild, by the
and
way.
I'm like,
yeah,
let's go, you
let's
know?
go.
And like then the show's over and I'm like, wait, now I have to make shit happen. Like it has to be us.
Yeah.
And I had to even let someone go this year because I was becoming too dependent on them where like I felt like I wasn't getting anything done because I was just like, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. And then I was like, you know what, Whitney, you need to like step back into action. It's tough. It's really tough to like run a business when you don't necessarily feel like you've been given the proper training for it. But like we said, learn by experience. Okay. So back to skincare a little bit. For the person who's looking to streamline their skincare routine, where would you recommend they start?
So our mantra and my mantra has always been 3 steps or less.
Okay.
Like
my God.
in any given routine. So you can have multiple products that you use on different nights, but in one routine, 3 steps or less. Amazing cleanser, a treatment step, and a hydration step. So I would go with like, what's your biggest skincare concern? Are we trying to clear your acne? Are we worried about anti-aging? Are we worried about firmness and elasticity? I would kind of think about what you're trying.
What if all of the above?
So then you want to rotate through different treatments.
Yeah.
That's when you would skin cycle. So if you want to, if you're trying to address something like firmness or elasticity, you'd want to incorporate peptides and stem cells and looking for things with those in it. If you are someone who's really big on anti-aging, I'd say there's no better ingredient than retinol. So working on that in. And then if, you're trying to exfoliate skin texture, you'd want to use a lactic acid or a BHA. So picking your treatment based on your concern and then picking a really great hydrator, whether that's a moisturizer, a face oil, whatever that is, and using less to let the actual products do their job.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people forget this is science. And sometimes I see like on TikTok, like, the influencers showing their routines and I'm like, well, those ingredients actually are, they have different pHs.
Right.
So
like
they actually
don't
go together.
To go together.
So,
I know. I sometimes will create my own steps too and I'll put it up there and I'm like, I don't even know if this is correct. Like this is just what I do.
You're an expert. And
no, I'm not, but I get that. I get that it's something that should be thought about. And Paige even asked me the other day, she was like, I have all these products, but I need to know the order. Like, I don't know. And I think we get confused with the order, especially when there's so many new products that are brought into the mix with new names.
There's so much
We're like,
stuff.
well, where does this one go? This isn't a serum or an oil or But okay, so a cleanser,
a treatment step,
and a moisturizer.
So
yeah.
I think like where people get into sticky situations is when they're using too many treatments. And I also think they're layering a lot of products that aren't necessary, like things with hyaluronic acid I never use.
Interesting. Why not?
Because hyaluronic acid, although it is a humectant, which means it draws water from its environment to hydrate, it actually dehydrates skin based on its molecular weight.
Interesting.
And a lot of them will use like different molecular weights, but it's also one of those ingredients that's cheap, it's a filler, and it's in everything.
Oh, okay.
And so things bioaccumulate in the body. And so I just don't use it because I think everyone else uses it enough. And I personally just don't use it on my skin. But I'd say like look at your products and like really look at what you're using and then trim the fat. So like these are my cleansers and I have different cleansers for different days too.
Same.
Yeah.
Like I have one that has is like an exfoliating polish, one that's more of a creamier one that's more of a gel,
Totally.
one that's an oil, or
So you can have all those things and still have fun with your beauty cabinet.
Based on what your skin needs.
Yes.
Totally. Intuitive skincare.
That's why I always say, like, so if you're feeling really dry that day, maybe you need to exfoliate a little bit and put on some moisturizer. If you're feeling like really oily that day, maybe let's not over exfoliate. Actually, let's just really like put on a treatment and like let it soak in and call it a day. So I feel like it's just kind of approaching your skin with however it feels like it needs that day.
Yeah.
Intuitiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
that
hard
makes
though.
so much sense.
Not everyone gets that though, so.
No, some people aren't necessarily in touch with that or know what they need and want to just be told that. But I think that you made it simple, and I need to remember that because I sometimes overcomplicate things, and then I feel like my skin does suffer, and then I'm like, wait, what did I just use? What that actually helped? You know?
Yeah.
And it's not mindful. Okay, so back to like just a little personal stuff. Do your days kind of like look the same, or is it like every day is different? Are you a planner where you have structure and like Wednesdays are shoot days and you know I know I tried that once, didn't stick for very long, but how, like, what is like the typical week look like for you?
So we're in office hybrid.
Okay.
So Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, my team and I are in an office.
Amazing.
And those days we always do like our brainstorms and the things that we need to do together, right? Pack outs, PR mailers, whatever. And then Tuesday and Friday are supposed to be like the days I do my meetings, like the things that are like this or things that are like, you know, in the field, as we call it, because it's really hard, I think, with only having 3 days to connect with your team when you're like at a lunch and then out of this. So I try and not do those on those days. And then, of course, my calendar says I have product development every Wednesday, and then there's a shoot schedule every Thursday. But like, does that actually happen?
Not all.
No. But I am pretty regimented. I do love like, with personal stuff, I actually don't like to plan. I have a Gemini moon. I feel like I like to like kind of like keep my options open.
Just like see what happens.
I'm
completely the same. I'm a Pisces, but I don't know what that means, but I don't want to plan like ever, anything. Like even work stuff, I have a hard time planning because I'm like, I just kind of want to see what mood I'm in. Like, am I in the mood to record a podcast today?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, can we honor that a little bit? But it's not obviously a responsible way to live your life.
Yeah, I'm the same way with personal. And then with work, like I felt like for the past few years I've been building the business so much that I haven't been like networking. So a big thing I made for myself this year was to like at least invite one new person to dinner.
That's big of you.
I know, and I'm like kind of passive.
I hate networking.
I hate it too.
I just like I can't do it. That's so big of you.
It's big, and also like I won't say let's do drinks unless I actually follow up.
Oh, good for you.
Because that's so LA to be like, oh my God, babe, how are you? Let's do drinks. Let's get dinner. No one gets dinner.
Yeah, no, I don't even. I'm like, I'm past that. I don't say that anymore. Ever.
I do, but like if I do, then I like for the things I follow up with it. So I say it less.
I know, but totally. You have to honor that. You have to honor yourself in that and not just throw it out there because that means something. Like your time means something.
So I've been trying to network a little bit more and like I've been more regimented with that lately. So trying to schedule like 1 or 2 things a month for work that I'm like planning.
That you're good for you.
Yeah.
That's really, really big.
Also,
of you.
you get old as you get older. Like I don't know if this happened to you, but like I was so like, not that I'm not confident now, but I was so confident and like extroverted in my early 20s. And now I'm in my late 30s. I'm like much more like, I have more social anxiety than I used to. But even though I'm more confident and like well-spoken now, like it should not be this way.
I completely agree.
Like, what's wrong?
I'm like, I feel like the best version of myself and so confident and like so happy. But at the same time, once I start to get around people, I'm like, I feel uncomfortable, but I want to be around people. I'm not like such an introvert, but I know it's hard. It's one of those things like staying home for me has been sounding better all the time than anything else. But then I'm like, I have to reflect on that, you know?
Yeah.
I'm completely with you.
So weird.
It's
but yeah,
so
I'm a
weird.
homebody too.
Yeah. And you have to like force yourself to get out.
Yeah.
I know.
Especially because we work all day and then you're like, I'm going to sit here with my organic Orin.
Right.
And just enjoy.
Completely. Completely. You just want to turn like the switch off a little bit. Yeah. What do you expect to start trending next in the world of skincare? Are you seeing any like trends? What are some trends right now that you're like, just no?
I think we're going to see more advancements in the red light space. I know we all have these masks right now that, you know, Dr. Dennis Gross, and they're amazing. but you can go deeper. You can get stronger lights. And I feel like we're going to see more in that space because that really is the second biggest secret besides retinol, in my opinion.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
And I have an LED aesthetics one.
Okay, those are good.
I haven't done my research though. I feel like did someone say Current Body? Was that what?
Current Body's good. Therabody has one. There's also Higher Dose. That's great.
Higher Dose.
I like one called Huga.
Okay.
It's like that doctors use, and you can buy it, and it's like you can just put it's like a flat sheet that you can put by your desk while you're working.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so I'm really into that.
Yeah, I love those. When I get them at a facial, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
It's like they're so bright but so relaxing.
Best part.
Just like for me at concerts, I get really tired, but it's so loud.
Because of the bright lights?
I don't know. It's so weird.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
But I think those are going to be bigger. Like, I think we're going to see more advancement there. I'm trying to think what else I feel like we're going to be seeing. I think there's different types of collagen that can actually be beneficial for skin. I think there's been a lot of like questioning around its validity and like, does it actually work for the skin? But I think there've been some really cool ingredient advancements. So I think next year we'll see more with that.
Interesting.
Because I feel like skincare follows a lot of wellness patterns, right? So when you start seeing things like colostrum and those type,
probiotics,
Ozempic, for example, like berberine, which is a natural form of Ozempic, a GLP-1, a stimulant that you can take, is also really great for skin.
Interesting.
So I feel like a lot of the wellness trends mimic skin trends. They're just a little bit more forward. So I think a lot of the things you're seeing now, like methyl blue, collagen peptides, colostrum will make its way into skin in 2025.
Have you ever been put under and you wake up from being put under and your skin is like the best it's ever looked?
I've only been put under once, but wait, tell me more because I'm about to.
So I did my egg retrieval a couple months ago, and I've been put under because I've done it a couple times and miscarriages, blah, blah, blah. And every time I wake up from being put under, my skin is insane, as if it's like milk, poreless, no wrinkles. It's crazy. And I told my doctor, I was like, someone needs to get into the science behind this. And I'm sure someone has, because there's something there. And I like, it's
That's
really
so interesting.
Weird.
I'm
so
like,
weird.
I'm so crazy that obviously this is the first thing I'm Googling when I get done with this. Like,
see if you find anything, because I feel like you will find something.
That's fascinating.
It's fascinating.
How long
Every
does it
time
last?
It lasts. I would say until like when you wake up the next morning, it's done. It's gone.
Interesting. So it has to be something with the residual medicine in the
and
body.
Maybe it's just the rest. Like, I
Sometimes
don't
it's
know.
15 minutes, right?
Exactly. That's why I'm like, what? I don't get it. I don't know. But
so
someone needs to look into it. Wait, I was going to ask one more question. Oh, facials. How do you feel about them?
I don't get facials.
You don't?
I don't get facials.
Shocking.
Yeah, so I like them and I used to get them, but I've found that like my skin is better when it's not having heavy extractions. And I had a really bad experience with one person in LA who shall remain nameless, but just over extracted, and I felt like I had some damage from it.
Awful.
And I think if you're using the right products, you really don't need it. I love like peels, lasers, like I do a lot of micro needling actually more than anything. So that I kind of rely on for pores and like texture and whatnot. But I know people love facials just for like the relaxation element of it. Of course.
It's like a little moment of self-care.
But I love the modalities within a facial that I use a lot. So I use like the red light. I love using like microcurrent in my routine when I feel like it fits. Sometimes it freaks me out, to be honest.
What is the microcurrent?
Like a new face or like a zip.
Right.
Sometimes I can feel the metal taste and it gives me headaches.
Ooh, yeah.
Which is not good.
I like the CO Beauty, and it's not anything like with electricity or anything, but the egg that they have where you can just like massage in all the crevices.
Hailey Bieber, right?
They have.
Does she use that?
I don't know. Does she?
I think so. And it penetrates the skincare better.
I'm not sure the whole science behind it, but I have it. It's like this silver egg, and it has these. It's just like the shape of it is so perfect to get into like all this spot in here. Like, because I get really bad headaches. I don't know if I get really bad headaches, so it really helps to like release that.
I clench my jaw too.
I clench my jaw.
Which is so bad. Like that's what my favorite thing to do is this. But you do facials, right?
I love facials.
How often?
Like every month.
And who do you go to?
So I usually go to this local place in the Valley.
Okay.
It's called Ask Cares. And really weird name. And I usually will I'll switch off. I'll get like a hydrofacial because I like
the sucking out of it.
like it. I know. It feels part of me that doesn't like it is it does feel a little abrasive on the skin.
Yeah.
But I do feel like super cleansed and glowy afterwards.
And you just do the hydrofacial?
I do a hydrofacial, and then other times I'll do kind of just like a custom thing. I love Skin Worship.
I love her. Emma Goodman?
Yes.
I don't know if you ever went to her.
I haven't gone to Emma, but I've gone to Jackie.
Okay.
And just that whole facial is just the most enjoyable experience.
So she was my favorite. Emma at Skin Worship was one of my favorite facialists. And she actually is like kind of witchy at the same time.
Yes. Well, they do like a meditation and like a whole
the room
aura
turned
cleansing.
pink for me.
No way.
Like I was like, oh my God, the room is turning pink. And she was doing this like chakra cleanse. I actually wrote about it. It was when I was still writing for media outlets, and it was like the craziest experience I've ever had. She's like so cool. That whole place is so cool.
It's so cool.
I'd go back there for like, I would do one like every 6 months for like a tune-up.
Yes.
And that's where I would go back to.
Completely. I love it. It's like reminding me that I want that right now.
Yeah.
Well, this was so fun.
So fun.
Thank you so much
me.
for coming on.
Of course.
Tell everybody where they can find you and your products and everything.
You can find me on Instagram at Allison McNamara, and you can find Mara at the Mara Beauty. And more importantly, you can find us at Sephora.
Yes. Amazing.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I brought you new lip balms, by the way.
Oh, yay.
I wasn't sure what
my
else.
lips are so freaking dry.
I'll send you the retinol if you're like, you should try it. It's so good. Have you tried our cleanser?
I love your cleanser. Please send me your cleanser.
Okay, our cleansers are most popular.
I love your cleanser.
I'll send some I'll get Paige's address too.
I've been seeing your billboards.
Oh my God.
Like, freaking out.
The billboard is funny.
I'm so excited for you.
But I'm on the billboard because I'm free. When we started doing like when we started looking at model pricing, I was like,
no,
holy shit, it's so expensive to have models on there.
I think it's good. I think that you're so beautiful and your coloring is so beautiful and it fits your face like fits the whole aesthetic.
Like it could have been worse. Like that's for sure. Like I'm not upset with them, but it's definitely not something like I feel
it's
like
weird to put your face on something. I wonder if you ever had that question where you're like, okay, now's the time to make the decision. Am I going to be the face of the company or am I just going to be like the founder and be behind the scenes, you know? Because that's I feel like nowadays it's very important to bring, you know, to have the personality and bring everybody together. And so it's important to like be the face of the company. But was that a hard decision for you?
You know, I kind of knew like I couldn't afford to like have anyone else be the face of it. And you need to have like that sense of like attachment with your clients. Like people want to like know who they're buying into and like what companies they're investing in.
Completely.
So, I mean, it was never like, I always knew it was going to be like the face of it. But it's like when you go to a billboard, it's like, so I would way prefer to model.
Yeah, it's very intimate. Like you're vulnerable, your face that big on a billboard. Yeah. But it's so exciting.
Like the last time we used a hand and the bottle, and we felt like when we were doing just some, you know, post, you know, testing on A/B testing on like what people thought, people interact more with billboards with faces. They see them more, they look at them more. And so then when we started looking for models, it was like, holy shit, this is so expensive on top of like the rates already for the billboard.
Yeah.
So it was Sephora. They were like, you should put yourself on it. And I was like, ugh.
No, they were right. Yeah, I agree with them.
So, I mean, like, it is.
You will eventually have models, but this is the first billboard, and I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
And definitely. Like down the road, the company will grow and you'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's another thing, too, that one of my friends was asking me about. And they're like, oh my God, the billboards. There's like this weird disassociation that you have with it.
Oh my God, completely. You have to.
Yeah. Because they're like, isn't that so crazy? I'm like, I don't know. I remember when we shot that, like, it just doesn't feel like it's
real. Yeah. It's very real. I mean, I felt that all the time. I felt disassociation from being on the show.
Yeah.
I felt disassociation when I would see myself on like the cover of something. It like wouldn't feel, it was like numb. Like it wouldn't feel one way or the other. I'm like, how is this supposed to feel? You know?
I feel like it's different. Like when you are like the talent or the face of it, like you kind of already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, like, you know it's coming. I don't know.
Totally. It's not that as exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but they're up.
Continue to be excited, though.
Yeah, I'm excited.
You know what I mean?
I'm excited that we have them as a brand. I'm just not sure, like, I feel, like, excited that I'm the one that's in it.
I completely understand that.
But
I completely understand
grateful that I was free. I'm grateful that the cost came down.
You know? I think it's perfect.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with them. I'm working on positive affirmations.
Totally. Tell yourself that you're happy with them, and then you'll start to believe it.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Thank you. And thank you for my bombs.
More goodies.
Yes, please.